and welcome to the show today. Greetings, salutation, everybody. This is Rick Koppel, your host. And for Coffee with my Island today, my coffee cup is my Father's Day gift for my sons. Most awesome dad. Hopefully, I am awesome. I'm using Awesome Window Manager, so that'd be awesome, right? So, yeah. So anyway, welcome everybody. And we have some interesting stuff to get to today, I think. One is our some bash scripts of the week that we're going to talk about. We're going to go over those briefly, but the main thing I wanted to get to is our latest journeys. How did it start? That kind of thing. Curious about that and other people. It's always interesting to listen to other people's stories about that kind of thing. That's what we're going to talk about today. And whatever else you want to talk about, any questions you want to ask me, post them on the chat, and I'll see if I can find them and get to them and talk to them about it. So, that said, we're going to move on to talking about some scripts of the week that I have for you. And in honor of our starting album test, I'm going to focus on some of my early scripts I did when I first installed Ubuntu on my computer back in the day. And so we'll go to that real quick. How about that? Hi Steve, how's it going? Well, it's about time, I know, really. Power washing the garage, so I'll be in and out. Alright. Well, you'll be out as much as you want. In and out. That's good. Power washing the garage. You get a power washer, you just go crazy with it, don't you? I got mine in storage, but let's see. Let's go to up here. Yeah, there we are. My Awesome Window Manager, awesome, huh? And we will go to open the scripts. First proceeding in our bin. Then we'll look at scripts here. Ones I want to focus on. One of the first scripts I ever installed on my computer was Fix Network Manager SH, just from right here. Right to there. Yeah, see Ubuntu in the early days, back when I installed back in 2011 and stuff. Somebody just texted me on my phone. The joys of live production, right? So, yeah, I forgot to turn that off. Turn the sound off. Yeah. But anyway, one of the joys of Ubuntu that I had was that the network manager would occasionally crash or lock up or something, do something weird. I'd lose it and I'd have to reboot my computer. Just rebooting wouldn't do the work. Found out you had to go in and install. You had to go take these files locked out and you had to reinitialize your updates. Then you can do it. Reboot, and then when you reboot it back up, your network manager will be working again. So I developed off that, but let me close this sound out here so we won't have any more interruptions. Hopefully. Yeah, so anyway, let's take a peek at that and see what is involved in it. It's a pretty simple file, actually. Nano. And type. Fix Network Manager SH, what I call it. There it is. Basically what it does is removes these locks on the system and does upgrade on it and then reboot. It's pretty simple, huh? But but I could never remember all that stuff just on the fly, so I had to put this in a network file. It's one advantage of scripts. You can automate some of the stuff that you rarely or occasionally can. I haven't used this for a long time because ever since I installed Kambuttu, I think it was. Xmbuttu, excuse me, Xmbuttu. Yeah, it didn't have any more problems with Network Manager since then. I think even when I used Ubuntu briefly again, it didn't have that same problem. So miles may vary on that, but anyway, that's a script you can use if you have trouble with your Network Manager occasionally crashing and stuff like that. Had to research that, figure it out, all that kind of stuff. So that was that one. Now we're going to go to toggle switches. I use these for various purposes. I've used these for various purposes for toggling. I toggled my kpinner.sh file. And what I did with that was, because back in the day I used to be, when I was a bookkeeper by trade, and I used QuickBooks a lot. QuickBooks on Windows had this function where you could make your keypad enter key like a tab key, which is cool. So I kind of got used to using it that way. But I went to Linux and I installed GNU Cache, which is a sort of closest clone to QuickBooks I could find on Linux at the time. It didn't have a functionality built into the program itself, so I had to figure out how to do it on Linux instead. Of course, it didn't default to every program, so occasionally I want to switch back. So I had this toggle kpinner. It basically toggles your kpinters, your keypad enter button to act as a toggle for tab key instead of an enter key, and you can toggle it back and forth. So whichever one's on it, it'll switch to the other one. Let's take a look at it and see what it says. Nano toggle. Enter. Message. And there's the thing. I put in the dependencies there: extra mode, map, grep, and notify send. Now it puts this variable luck. I don't know why I call it luck, but I call it luck. Guess I hope to be lucky or something. It runs this program X mode add PK and then puts it to grab and pulls out the kpinner field out of it if it's there. So if it's not kp luck, it doesn't equal that, then it means that it's acting as enter key. So it'll switch it over to tab key. There's a command to do that. I then send a notification to the system saying tab to keypad enter key will now act as a tab key. Let me know what it's done so far. And otherwise, it'll take the mode map and map the key code 104, which is the keypad enter key, back to the keypad enter function. Now you have to have this key code. There's a key scan you use it for the keypad enter key and tab keys, but then you lose the ability to specify keys and put it back to this key here. You move it over to tab using key scan, but you can't use key scan to put this back to enter because it's no longer there as far as the keypads is for the word. So you have to use this key code 104, which is key scan. I think I used a env or something like that, which I think, or yeah, there's one key program you can install in there. I think it's xenv or xen or something like that. That will run it, and you click on it or press the keypad. It'll tell you all the key codes that are on there. So anyway, that's what that is. That toggles it between the two. Okay. Now, I want to look at toggle touchpad. I'm going to put SH on this one, so I have an SH on the other, but anyway. I've always liked to toggle my keypads off, touchpads off, excuse me, keypads, my touchpad off, because basically when my fingers are typing, my palms tend to hit the touchpad a lot, which can cause problems. Even when I tried to use the keypad to, excuse me, touchpad in that off mode where when you're typing it switches off the keypad, it doesn't seem to work fully. What I'm doing is I'll be typing on something, my cursor moves up to a different spot on the screen and be filling in that, typing in that spot instead of where I needed to be. So I always had a way to turn off. Now, a lot of computers like this one here, this computer here has a touchpad function that you can turn off the touchpad. It's using the keyboard function keys, but a lot of them at the time didn't, and occasionally you run across some that do, some that don't have that on there. So I created this little enable, little switch back between those two. Turn the touchpad on and off. Basically same concept as before. I get into a variable, X input, list, name only, grep I, touchpad. So it pulls anything touchpad out. If there's something in there, in luck, X input list, EP name, pulls that in there. Device is disabled. So that's if it finds something that says device is disabled with that name on it in the input list, then it will say, hey, dude, you're disabled. And then it'll enable it here. So if luck is this, because otherwise if it's not disabled, that won't appear anywhere in there. That'll be an empty field. Luck will be empty. If luck, then it enables it. Not luck, then it disables it. Toggles it back and forth that way. And you got toggle Wi-Fi, which I obviously toggles your Wi-Fi on and off, right? Got that figured out, right? Oops. Looks like there's a capitalized, right? Here. Okay, and somewhere here. Oh, toggle. Not toggle, it's toggle. There we go. So there you go. Dependencies is IW config, grep, and then network control manager, control command line, network manager control line programs. And this isolates line showing whether Wi-Fi is enabled or not and save it to a variable. So same concept as before. It basically runs this, puts it in there, and IW config, and it looks for ESSID off, tells it whether it's off or not. So if that equals nothing, then it assumes it isn't off, so it's on, so it turns it off. And likewise, otherwise it'll turn it on. How that works pretty simple. These are all pretty simple scripts, but they seem to work for me. They made it simple to turn. What I usually do for like this, if I wanted your keyboard doesn't have a function key for turning Wi-Fi on and off, I would create a key binding for it on whatever system I was using at the time, which back in the day I think was Ubuntu, and then the Ubuntu at the time had used OpenBox for a window manager and had to go in and set the window manager to key bindings, which had to go in a file and edit it like you do with big files for Awesome and all those things. So I was already used to doing that pretty much. So yeah, there you go. That's how you toggle Wi-Fi on and off using the command line functions. So that pretty much covers ones I wanted to go over today on that. And that's my Wi-Fi's my scripts of the week section of this show. Really big show. Hope you're enjoying a good, nice beverage today. I'm drinking my Guatemalan coffee, but I have a surprise next week, hopefully, assuming it arrives. Ordered some green coffee beans from Sweet Maria's. Hoping to get this week. So by next week, I could have a using while I open my eyes. And next week I could have some different coffee than Guatemala. I know I got Sumatran coffee from them, and I think I got some Ethiopian coffee and some Costa Rican coffee. I don't remember for sure what, but I think it's Costa Rican coffee I got from them. So see what that's like. It's been a while since I've roasted any, so it'll be fun relearning all that and getting roast levels down, all that kind of stuff, and what degree I want to put it. You usually get different flavors out of different beans by how long you roast them. So some roast differently, and some have flavors of one setting, others have flavors of deeper, darker settings. So yeah, I'll tell you more about that next week when I get it in and stuff. I'll tell you what I did and that kind of thing, what I'm drinking at the time. So it probably will be Guatemalan coffee next week, more than likely, unless it doesn't come in before then, or right before, or something like that. Anyway, wanted to get to our stories today. Stories for Linux. I'll go back to my live function so I can talk to you in person more. Yeah. So my Linux journey started basically when I heard about it back in the late 90s or early 2000s. So I heard about it early on. Traditionally, as well before I adopted it. Put it in practice, obviously, but heard about it. I was curious about it. That old laptop was sitting over my computer over there on my, well, I'll say over there, but I mean, I was thinking back to my old room in Texas where I used to live. But, yeah, so I had so laptop sitting there, and I decided I was going to put Debian on it. So back then we didn't have a real good internet connection. I had a modem, so downloading a big ISO like we do nowadays would be prohibitive on that. It'd take all day plus some couple of days to download, something like that. So I ordered the CDs. They had CDs you could get on it. I didn't have a real fast download speed on modems, so I bought CDs and had them delivered and got them, and I stuck them in the computer and I ran it. Yeah. And yeah, when I first booted up, it was just kind of black screen, you know, and I didn't know what to do because I didn't know any much about Linux at that point. I just booted up, installed it and booted it up, and I knew that I needed to see if I could get a graphical something on there. So yeah, so I installed Debian, and so I figured I needed to install this X something on there. It was X11. So installed X on there, and all I have is a big screen with a big X on it. I go, well, this doesn't help me much. What am I supposed to do now? So I've messed around with it, trying to get it to work and stuff like that. Didn't know much about Linux at that point to know what I was doing or somehow I got in the loop though. I mean, yeah, if I rebooted, it boot back up to this big X thing where I couldn't do anything. And so finally gave up and said, well, I guess I'm not much of a Linux person at this point, so And I was still using QuickBooks then, so I still had to use Windows for that. Nothing else would work on it at that time. And I don't think you even get to work in Wine yet on Linux today. So yeah. So anyway, I had a QuickBooks business. I had to have QuickBooks to operate my business, and so I use that. So I used Windows for a long time. Then I think it was in Ubuntu I was first exposed to that, in Ubuntu about 2007, 2006, somewhere in there. So I decided to install that on the computer, and I did. And I used it for a while. But I still was married to QuickBooks and Windows, so I stayed there. Although it kind of gave me a hankering to learn more about Linux. Now, the interesting thing is that before that, back in the 80s and the 90s, before I even knew about Linux, I did experience a little Unix stuff. So I already had some inkling of an idea, differences between the two. Yeah, so when I had downtime in my old job bank, which is where the Unix tend to be used a lot apparently, that time, I did a little studying on the Unix man pages. So I learned a little bit about that and learned how to LS and things like that, some of the difference between that and the DOS command line that I was familiar with at the time. And so by the time I got to Linux, I already had operated in the command lines for DOS for a long time before I got Windows. I was kind of a late adopter of Windows proper because I didn't want to get out of my command line. I loved my command line at that time. And I knew what I was doing with that, but I didn't know what I was doing with Windows. I learned, but I didn't know at first. It's like, I want to do that. So I did that, and then I 2011 I think was when I first started my last client that I've worked with much on QuickBooks was finally dying off, I guess you could say, dying off, that kind of thing. And so I went to him. Decided to do a dual boot of Linux. Figured I would experiment because I saw you could do that. So I got on Ubuntu and I said I'd give this a shot and try it out and see if I can make it a daily driver or not. I think in 2010, 2011 when that happened, I installed it. It's a dual boot, so I booted in Windows, and I could boot in Windows as fail-safe in case I had to for whatever reason. I like to use QuickBooks or Excel spreadsheet because I had some Excel functions that couldn't translate over very easily. I mean, you can pull most spreadsheets up in Calc, the LibreWriter Calc, but you couldn't pull the macros up. And I had these payroll spreadsheets that I created in Excel that had all these macros in them. There'd be a lot of work to translate over to whatever macro functions that Calc used. So I still kind of had a need for that on Windows, and so I occasionally jump back to Windows when I needed one of those programs for whatever reason. But more and more, I got to where I could use Ubuntu. So I installed Ubuntu on this particular computer because I knew it wasn't a high-power computer. The bigger the better, the more memory it freed up and that kind of thing, the better off I was. So, and it did operate a lot faster than, I think Windows 7 is what I had on that old computer. I still have it actually. We're out in the room using it right now. Got a Linux Mint on it right now, and my wife is using it. So yeah, it's like a 10-year-old computer more. So yeah. It's a little slow compared to computers today, but it gets the job done. It's for what she's using it for, it's adequate. You use it for college classes, studying college and that kind of thing. At any rate, I had a dual boot of Windows for a while, and I finally, when I installed X and Ubuntu on the computer, I said, oh, well, by that point I wasn't really using Windows much at all. Because my need for QuickBooks long gone, I did everything in GNU Cache, so I had that program cooking. And I learned that I can install Microsoft Office, believe it or not, 2003, which is the version I have. I still have it currently on my hard drive. 2003, I can install that to work in Wine, macros and everything, just like it's out of the box. Takes a little doing to do that, but you can do it. Surprise, surprise, surprise. So that was the only function I needed was that spreadsheet usually. So I did that. And so I had Ubuntu on there, and I had Wine and all that kind of stuff. By the time I installed Linux Mint on my computer, which is the third distro I installed on it, and that was about 2018, I think, when I installed that. I used Ubuntu for a long time, like about 6-7 years, something like that, 5 years, something, all the time. And I had Ubuntu on there for about a year or a year and a half, and I installed Linux Mint. I had it on about a year before I started distro hopping a little bit. Trying to figure out what I wanted out of the distro. So yeah, and so that's my Linux story. How I kind of gradually over the years moved to it, was interested in it, and I've learned a lot obviously since I've been Linux. So that's my Linux story. Now, what about you? What's your Linux story? How did you get introduced to it? What are you doing? I'll put up on Zoom. You can either chat it or you can Zoom it, whichever one you want to do. But I'll get Zoom set up here in a second. And when you do, you can come on and talk to me about it. Tell the world what your Linux story is, or whatever you want to chat about or talk about. Okay? So, let's get on with that show. The really big shoe. See, first I need to go over here and get Zoom cooking. Yeah, Steve, if you have any, yeah, I remember last week, I think, or the week before, Peter was on Zoom and he didn't say anything. I mean, he said a lot of stuff, but didn't hear him apparently. I thought he was being heard, but I couldn't. He said he was. So I took him at his word, but apparently he was. When I watched it back, I couldn't figure out what he was saying because it was all silent. Hopefully he won't have the same problem. Hopefully I got it set where it'll come across. We will find out. Let's see. Zoom. Let's sign in first apparently. Password is, I think it's, no, I didn't spell it right or I didn't put it right. So I'll try another passwords. Oh my god. See that, try another email here. Hold on a minute. So you have stuff running before I start this, I suppose. Yeah, sit here and watch me do this work on there. Okay. Almost there, folks. Oops. And shut down stream. Yeah, I shut down the stream. I'm sorry. I'm bringing it back up on my computer. I shut down YouTube accidentally. May or may not have shut down the stream since I'm streaming to it. I'll find out. Um, see, it's so cooking, yay. Yeah, since I didn't shut down, let's turn that off, doesn't turn off the stream itself. That's good. The stream's here, but I'm not. I'm still clicking on it. Sorry about that problem. I will now see if I can get Zoom up and running again. There you go. This part. Yeah, it's kind of an odd situation. Since my, I think I need to turn on headphones too. So anyway, that's my, my story. And you're free to jump on and tell me your story. If you so desire. Do so either on chat or Zoom, whichever one you want to do. And for most people, it'd probably be easier to talk it out and type it out, but some people are fast typers too. So, unlike me, I'm a slow typer. I like my fast output on my writing. I seem to be able to get a story out occasionally, but sometimes it takes a long time, like half a year to put a chapter out. Other times it takes like a day. You never know what it's going to be. Lately, I've been on a roll with my Allie's angelic adventure stories. I've had you might clear my throat a bit. Okay. Steve's got to go talk to his wife. May not be anybody here, but Peter's obviously out for the day, still working on whatever he's doing. Last week he was doing, what was he doing? Peter was doing something, but what was it? I don't remember. Anyway, he's doing something that prevented him from coming on here. Apparently he's still involved, or got some projects he's doing around the house, that kind of thing. So he showed me pictures of what he's working on. It looked pretty nice, actually. So, yeah, Sundays are obviously days to get projects done, honeydew projects, that kind of thing, I guess. But, yeah, and if this works out to do it a better time, I picked Sunday afternoon basically because I thought, well, one, you need to pick a day where there's no kids around because I can't have kids on video. Otherwise, YouTube gets all picky about it, don't want kids on video. Say there's no kids on video. It's not made for kids. There's kids on video. It's problematic. So, and we may just wait before I go online. The Zoom, nobody shows up. And if you try to come in on the video without saying who you are on the chat, ixnay on coming in the video. Yeah, probably not gonna allow you in. So, or who you are. And who you are, I'll more definitely let you in so you can talk about it. Now, some of the people, I can continue talking about my experiences with Linux, and I think I talked about my transplant last time, didn't I? hard drive transplants I did. I think I talked about that last week, if I remember right. Where I transplanted hard drive from one Linux computer over to another computer and ran Linux on it for a while. Yeah, so that was my big hardware problem. I've put hardware in and out of computers before, laptops and desktops. Desktops are obviously easier to do. They're made to be more flexible in that regard. But yeah, I've done a few hardware things. Even installed a hard drive on this computer. Had an extra bay for it, so I put one in there. Put my home directory on it and separated it out from the root directory, which is on the original NVIDIA and NVED or something like that drive, the computer that came installed with it. So, yeah, I didn't have a lot of space on there, so I added that terabyte hard drive, I think, on there, and also I have an external 2 terabyte hard drive on this laptop. Oh, I think it's straight enough, I think I got it in my I can show you online though what I'm going to do. Yeah. Well, I'll be right back. I'm back. Yeah, well, see, I have this. Yeah, I don't know if you've heard of frameworks computers. They got a do-it-yourself edition where you can figure your own computer how you want it, what you want on it. Operating system, which I don't want any operating system because I'll put my own on it, obviously. But yeah, it's a pretty cool computer, and I configured it to have a Intel Core i7 165G7 core on it. Also Wi-Fi, Intel. Also have 1 terabyte storage on it. NVMe, that's what it's called, those kind of drives. As well as a memory, 16 gigabyte memory on it. It isn't excessive, but it's not small either. More than adequate for most anything you want to do, pretty much. So the most intensive media task or gaming task you can imagine. So anyway, price tag on this puppy comes out to $1,411. Yeah, that's my laptop that I'm looking at. Well, they did send it to you in parts and you put it together yourself. So it should be fun, huh? So yeah, but $1,400, $11 is the most I ever spent on a computer ever. I think the most I ever spent on a computer was when I bought, strangely enough, in 1990 something, 96 or something like that. Yeah, I think it was one of my first computers I bought, like $800 computer. For me, that was a lot of money at the time, especially back then. But I needed it for class because I realized, as I think I said last week, that in seminary, when I was going through seminary, it's kind of like they almost expect you to have a computer to use. I didn't have a computer at that time. I had a typewriter, old manual that I used at the time. And yeah, so I had this old manual typewriter, and I got this printer. When I got this computer, I got this printer that sparked when it printed. It had little sparks because it shot little electrical dots out. Yeah, it's kind of weird, but it worked. And strangely enough, it worked for the professor too. Yeah, so, but I realized I was going to be too slow to make my presentation, my reports and stuff I needed on it. So I bought this computer, my classes, one of the cheap ones I could find at the time. And I think I bought about $500, $600 on my first laptop, 1994, 95, now somewhere in there. And yeah, it's kind of a funny story in a way, but I got it and it was supposed to be black and white, but it was a color one. So, oh well, I'll pay them back later. It was a more expensive computer than what I bought, but it wasn't that. That was my first Windows computer. This old laptop, 1994, 95, somewhere in there. And yeah, it was interesting because that's when I have my notes on. I put my notes on. I created macros on it that I could use Windows and they could automatically put these things in. That was back in the early days of Windows when they were more flexible, I guess, in that way, where you can create macros on the fly. And I had to do that. At any rate, yeah. So I was going somewhere with all that. I don't remember where. Anyway, I remember. So my most expensive computer I ever bought was about $800. Any top max. At the time, it was a real big bite of my cash out of my pocket. Imagine. But yeah, back then, brand new computer would have cost like $3,000 or something like that out of the box. No way I was going to have that kind of money available. So then this one's going to be $1,411. That'd be the most expensive computer I ever bought right there. And most of the computers I bought recently have been like, well, these last two computers I bought, this test computer over here, which I got my chat on, and the one out in the living room, which I can actually game on that one a bit. Yeah, a bit, I said, not totally, but I can play Hollow Knight on it, but it's not smooth as molasses or nothing like that. But it's playable, basically, if you can put up with the slight delay in between when you press the control. So it only has 2.0 USB ports on it, and my controller plugs in one of those, so that had a 3.0 on it. Let's see if I can install one on there. That'll probably improve the play performance on the controller, I'm sure, by a whole lot. At any rate, yeah, so this will be my most expensive computer, and I don't really have money for it right now. Probably won't till probably after. I don't know when I'll have money for it. Anyway, my thinking is if I put it out on the channel, people make donations, either Patreon if I want to do that, or Kickstarter, or one of those kind of things. Maybe I can generate the money in cash for it. What do you think? Anybody has any suggestions in that regard? Or ways I can generate cash for it? I'm all eyes and ears. So, yeah. Because I don't think my wife's got a bridge she got to do, which is $800 there. And all the other expenses that I'd have to take care of. So, yeah. A little hard to do all that. So that would be my dream computer right there. Dream laptop. I think it's a keyboard. I've seen reviews on it. They're pretty computers from what I read. Modular. There's 4 slots on it. You can put in there. You can put a HDMI HDMI connection on there. You can put uses C ports, I think, to put your parts on. So, yeah, excellent. So I put my own what I wanted together on there, and they came at $14.11 estimated price. So estimated worries me a bit, but it means a good thing in the end. Oh well. Well, anyway, as I was saying before, if there's a time works for you that's better than this one for the majority of my avid followers. I think it's about 2 or 3 right now. So, yeah. If you want to, does the time work better for y'all? I'm all open to it. But I gotta also make sure it's a time that I'm gonna have total quiet in the house, where everybody's gonna be at work. Is at work. My son's here right now, but he's like in his thing using his computer. And so far, I think, yeah, so far upload speed seems to be working good. And CPU seems to be running a little hot, but not too hot. And gigabytes of memory is all good. Good on that front. Yeah, it's another thing that I want to have a little more CPU power. Is one of the limiting things on me getting this up and running good is the CPU. They kind of maxed out CPU that other time. Last time I did it. I can give it a higher quality streaming, that kind of thing. But I don't think I mentioned, but I also have NVIDIA drivers on here. This laptop. So, really good gaming laptop. I want to game on it. Not sure how much I'll game on, but yeah, should work for videos and processing videos, that kind of thing, pretty good, I think. So that's where we're at with that. Well, I think so. There I am. Yeah, so let's see. If somebody out there has any stories they want to tell, and so I think I've said all I'm going to say about that subject pretty much. And so I suppose it's time for me to go. And what time is it? It's been about an hour. Not bad, an hour show. Yeah. So I'm going to, if somebody jumps on and says, hold on, I got something to say. Then I'll shut everything down. See you next week. We'll talk now. I will mention that probably on Halloween day I'm not going to be able to be on because Halloween. That's Sunday. Yeah, Sunday the 31st of Halloween. Yeah, it's kind of weird for it to fall on Sunday. You think about it. So, yeah, it'd be good to do a show on Halloween, but I think I'm going to be going out trick-or-treating with the grandkids that day. So, won't be able to be on. We'll have to follow the no-show show or something like that. And I didn't get a video out this past week for, I think I'm going to do one of these, I'm going to ignore the more minor window managers. I kind of thought maybe some people would be interested to see what they were. I was kind of interested to see what they were. But they're all pretty much, same except for I want to check out i3. I checked out i3 and I'll make a video on that one. And I plan on making a Qtile video and a Xmonad video. Actually, what I'm running on the channel right now, or on this computer over here, is Xmonad. Arco Linux Xmonad. Because I actually, yeah, it's kind of a funny story. I installed Arco Linux, installed one on here, on this test computer. I want to see if they come up now. Odd thing is that all the ones I tried on this computer don't come with a hotkey. They do on the virtual machine, but they don't on that one. I don't know why. I mean, same files, same installation type thing I do. So, at any rate, yeah, I'll shut down my Zoom here in a minute, and I'll say goodbye to everybody. Yeah. So I hope everybody else has a great day today. Is having a good day today. And we'll see you next time. I'll try to get out 3 videos this week. I've been writing a lot lately, that's why I haven't been able to do a video. There's times that I want to get to my writing. You ready? We'll see you next week. Watch out for the next video on I3. And talk to you next time. Bye. I forgot to say, may the Linux force be with you. Now, for real, bye.